Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of How's It Going with me, Leo Young. And today's episode, we will talk about moving and transitions. So there's a lot of things going on right now in the world, and some people may be moving and have different transitions of their home. And this would be a useful episode for you to learn a thing or two. And before we begin, as always, the information we cover on this episode is for informational purposes only. So before making any material decisions, consult the appropriate professional. And with that being said, for today's topic, I'd like to bring on a moving concierge at a local moving company, Mastodon Moving. Please welcome David Hart.
Thank you very much, Leo. Hello, everybody. My name is Dave Hart. I'm the sales director and moving concierge for Mastodon Moving and Storage from Ashland, Mass. And it's a pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Definitely. It's good to have you on. So, as always, for every episode, we have a charity for our viewers to donate to. Would you mind, Dave, to introduce the charity of this week?
Not at all. No, my pleasure. Our charity, and it has been for a while, is a charity called Jane Doe Inc. They advocate for victims of sexual abuse and domestic violence. And not only are they a client, we've become friends and a staunch supporter of those over the last few years.
Mm-hmm. And that's great. And so Jane Doe Inc. is based out of where? Do you know?
Boston-based, Massachusetts.
Nice. That's awesome. So it's a local organization. That's great.
Local organization. They help with support. They help with housing and placement. And as far as we're concerned, being a mostly male dominated moving company, it made sense for us to have a charity like that and to be able to be part of something like that. We find that to be very progressive and definitely the direction of the personality of our company.
Yeah, that's great. And Dave, just a little bit about the personality of your company. Would you mind just introducing your company a little bit?
Absolutely. We see ourselves as a boutique style, more detail-oriented moving company than most. Bit more care, a bit more customer service, and a bit more thought. We've been in this business long enough to know the pitfalls and the mistakes that folks and other moving companies make, and we try and get in front of those and make it a more sort of customer-centric and more customer service-oriented sort of service.
Definitely. And I was speaking to some other guests in the previous episodes, and a big thing that they've been saying as well is that they're seeing a big shift into customer service. Before it's like, hey, here's my service, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
But nowadays people have the Google reviews, Yelp, whatever, and the modern consumer does a lot more research into who helps them and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they should. Not only that, we found that, as far as generating leads and revenue for us, networking and referrals are, the new way to go for us. We don't advertise anywhere. So it's so important for us to ace the customer service from the beginning to the end and make sure the client is happy with the service. If they're not, we fail. We need to generate new friends via, old friends. So
yeah, that's well said. And speaking of referrals too, so I don't know if Danielle told you. So for those of you at home, Danielle is the marketing person at Mastodon Moving, and I actually met her on Instagram. So that says something about Mastodon Moving and sort of their approach to advertising, and as you said, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a difficult thing to market, a moving company. The obvious things are there, the truck, men. But outside of that, every moving company has those. So we're working on the other things that they don't, and that's just better customer service and more contact, which is where the whole concierge idea comes in. Because we are making ourselves more available to talk to clients, to give them more advice, and to support them through the moving process. we're making ourselves there for them to ask questions on weekends, on evenings, and when they need us.
Right.
We get this sort of flex share work thing going on right now, but it's actually fitted what we do very well, because a lot of folks, don't get to make those calls till the end of the day, or
Right.
think of a question on the weekend prior to the move that they wish they might have thought on a weekday between 9 to 5. So it's
Definitely. Yeah. And speaking of working from home and all that stuff, how's it going in your world, and how is like COVID-19 affected it?
Yeah, we were very scared when it first kicked off, like everybody else.
Definitely. For
It
sure.
was a real unknown for us, where we were then, we found out that we are part of the essential services list, being transportation. And that was actually quite a gift. And honestly, we've been incredibly lucky. We haven't had any infections. We haven't had any, client infections. And
Mhm.
we've been able to stay busy. We offered, anyone that works with Mastodon the opportunity to take unemployment and take a step back if they felt like they wanted
Right.
to do that. And some guys did, and I'm glad that they're comfy with their decision, and we support them. And they're starting to trickle back bit by bit, and our ranks are building up. But it's been really good. We're trying, and I've said this a million times, but I really think this is valid. Without proper federal leadership and
Mhm.
guidelines, Mastodon and Stop and Shop, CVS, we're all coming up with our own way of doing things. And it's been organic, but it's been good. And we're at a point right now, we feel very confident that we can continue through whatever happens next.
Definitely. And yeah, so speaking of that a little bit, you mentioned that, I mean, of course, like this is a big time of change for people. So like how have you, or how has Mastodon been sort of adapting to thrive under the current conditions?
We're, again, without that federal mandate, we're
Mhm.
sort of addressing the issues, as we come along. Something we didn't realize straight away was that we can't, something so simple you don't even think about. We can't even put the guys in trucks anymore.
Oh,
So
wow.
they're using their own personal vehicles to get around.
Wow.
We're asking clients to make themselves scarce if they can.
Yeah.
We've had them, and it's actually worked out in the organizational part of things, which we'll touch on in a minute, I imagine. But
Mhm.
clients are being better at their direction. They're being
Right.
more efficient with the information that we need to know about. And, they can give us a bit of room and let us work with a bit of space. We're asking people to open windows, air out the place. We're asking clients to disinfect everything. And then on arrival, we, of course, disinfect everything, handrails, doorknobs, things like that. But it's been working out. It's been great. As far as the moving process, it does slow us down a little, and I think that's kind of the reality
Mhm.
of where we're at, which isn't great because most moving companies charge by the hour, so moves might take a little longer, but
Right.
we don't mind, and the clients certainly don't. They're more than happy to have us put in a little extra time and care, and make sure we do it right.
Definitely. And yeah, just thinking about that as well, the nature of moving, although it doesn't seem very personal, because it's just like, oh, hey, like some guys are coming in and like moving my stuff out. It's not really like on a typical person's mind, because they're thinking about where am I moving to?
Right.
But, upon closer thought, they'll find out, hey, like this is a very intimate process.
Yes, it is.
There's a
Yes,
lot of people.
very up close and personal with our clients.
Yeah.
We become very close friends for a short period of time, I think is the best way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to be very mindful of that. And for our guys and our staff safety also, we have to remind clients that they really do need to give the guys a little bit of room. Uh,
Hmm.
I actually told a client the other day, or recently, I said, if you can just take off for a couple of hours, that'd be super helpful. And she said, take off, everything's closed. I'm like, I said, oh yeah, I kind of forgot about that. But
Yeah.
that's the idea. Just try and give us a bit of room, and an occasion too. I mean, we've added an extra guy to try and do it quicker and limit the contact.
Hmm.
But everyone's different. I mean, we're working in a retirement home on Thursday. We're delivering a resident there, and we were instructed to actually come with fewer guys because they want the job to go longer, but have fewer guys to increase the fact that we can socially distance a little bit. So everyone's sort of figuring it out. And of course, we're all ears for these
Hmm.
suggestions and ideas. So
Definitely. Yeah. And just going off topic a little bit, the cat, what's his or her name?
That depends on which one made an appearance. We have two Bengals.
Uh-huh.
They're about a year old, and we have a
Yeah.
tabby who's the old matriarch of the house. She's 18 or 17.
Wow. Okay.
And so,
Yeah.
like I said, if one becomes attached to my face, just sort of keep going and pretend nothing's happening. I'll deal
It's
with
all good.
it.
Yeah. Now, just curious, Dave, is the moving process like any different with homes with pets?
Yes, it is because there's a worse air quality in a situation like that. So when the
Mm,
guys arrive, they're going to want the windows opened, and also we don't tell our clients, but we hope that they figure it out. That when you do start moving things around, dust and dander will get up in the air, and if
mhm.
you're breathing heavily like movers do when they're working, that's not a great sort of environment for the respiratory system. So
Right.
yeah, we hope that folks do sort of run a vacuum around. Dogs um, don't mind moving; they just want
Mm.
to be included. Uh,
Yeah.
and cats absolutely hate moving and will
Mm.
completely, go into shock and run off if given the opportunity. So we
Right.
tell clients if you do have a pet, and it does have to be on site, particularly a dog, cat, make sure it's cordoned off so that we don't have to deal with it, or at least it doesn't run away because cats will bolt and go. Actually, quick story. When I
Mhm.
was a mover about a million years ago,
Yeah.
uh, the company I worked for, me and two other guys drove up into New Hampshire into the dark, and we arrived at this place. And the lady said, "Okay, guys, so we unload now, but be very careful of the cat. She's a bit scared. So when we go in, just be
Yeah.
mindful." And we said, "Your cat's loose in the house?" And she said, "Yeah, but she'll be okay." So she opened the door, and the cat ran right out the door and
Oh, man.
into the woods and gone. And we
Wow.
spent 2 hours in the dark looking with flashlights for the cat. She actually ran around the house and went in the basement, unbeknownst to us. So, we ended up, I think, 2 in the morning. Anyway, long story short, keep an eye on your cat. So,
Yeah, definitely. Great tip for those back at home. If you have a pet, especially a cat, you got to make sure that they're accounted for, make sure they're all taken care of before bringing other people in, especially movers, into your house.
yeah, a cat carrier is a great investment, I think, at that point.
Cat carrier. That's great. Now, so speaking of just moving too, so yes, most people know that you do moving, but
Yep.
besides from that, what are maybe like a few things that you guys cover?
Well, I don't like the expression, but we are a full service company, if you will. So,
Hmm.
as far as the preparation end, we do packing, we do art crating and art handling. We
Hmm.
do move management, where we'll send out an individual who will actually help work with the client to get organized and just sort of come up with a move plan.
Hmm.
Um, and with the actual work that we do, of course, it's moving and the storage. We have now 20,000 square feet at our space in Ashland.
Hmm.
Which is a climate controlled environment that we have
Yeah.
a lot of storage locations and a lot of storage units, and long distance too. That's something else we're getting into. The other
Hmm.
thing I wanted to mention too is because of the kind of prep that we do, not every moving company does this, but we're very adept to making sure that furniture is wrapped, but also homes are prepared and cared for. So when we load out and when we load into a new place, we run floor runners. We use protective equipment to make sure that banisters, walls, and door jambs are protected. And this is important because nowadays we're moving into new construction a good bit.
Hmm.
Folks are, rather than finding their dream home, they're actually building their dream home sometimes, and
Right.
place is pristine on arrival. So it's very important that we take the care and the due diligence to make sure it stays that way.
Hmm.
And clients see the care, they see the intent, and that's come back to us, tenfold. That's been really, really great.
That's great.
Yeah,
Now, speaking of moving into these homes, definitely, I've had my fair share of just wall scrapes and just nicking the doorway here and there.
yeah,
Now,
sure,
just in a regular home, that might not be a big deal, but if
right.
it's a really, really nice home, which a lot of the projects that your team works on are, definitely you have to pay more attention to like doorknobs and things like that, right?
Absolutely, and remodeling too. Very often will someone will have their floors done, or they'll have an addition or a wall moved. They'll have us come in. We'll remove all the furniture, wrap it, inventory it, and store it. And then
Mm-hmm.
the contractor comes in, does the work. Once that's complete, we come back to return the items, but we use those polypropylene mats, and we sort of protect the area.
Mm-hmm.
And it has to be done that way. See, some of these renovations are, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And for the contractor to get us in as a line item for something like that, that might be a couple of $1,000 on that list, that's $250,000. It
Yeah.
makes perfect sense for them to have the professionals come in and do it. The other
Right.
thing we found is that these contractors don't want to move fridges. They don't want to be involved in that process. And to have us come in and do that, we can actually give them more room to work and give them a really nice, safe job site to get started with. Because you do not want to work around anything in that environment. Some
Right.
folks try and hide it on site. Maybe you've got a bigger home, you can find areas that you can utilize, but there's no replacement just to having it completely removed and giving the guys a fresh start. And so we're really
Definitely.
building a good clip of friends and referral partners in that industry. That's been working out
For
really well.
sure. Yeah. And also speaking of renovations, so I'm not sure if you're seeing this. So I've been seeing a lot of pictures on the internet of people just undertaking big renovations of their home during the quarantine, like
Yep,
sort of redoing their kitchen and like
yep,
revamping their bathrooms and stuff like that.
yep,
Are you
yep.
seeing a lot of that too?
Yeah, yeah, and I think probably in your industry too, you've seen where if folks can't find the home that they're looking for, they either not build it from scratch, but they alter their own home to suit their new needs. We found that empty nesters who are gearing down, maybe moving to smaller spaces, they're doing it in their own homes. They're actually, I mean, we moved a gentleman who was ill, and his wife had rearranged the house so that the bedrooms were now downstairs and the offices
Hmm.
and the other rooms were upstairs, so he could
Okay.
have easier access in and out. And they'd widen the doorways, and that was a big project. But they,
Yeah.
they couldn't find what they were looking for in the neighborhood they wanted, so they just
Yeah.
yeah. And
And,
I've
yeah.
noticed an upswing in the quality of packing from our clients in the last 4 months.
Nice.
Here
Nice.
the excuse is like, "Oh, work's killing me. I don't, I hope to do it on the weekend. I couldn't get around to it." No one has an excuse now, so everyone is very well prepared when we're
That's
showing up,
true.
which saves people money. That's a big part of it.
Right, definitely. And just to expand on that point that you mentioned earlier, I am definitely seeing a lot more people take on a lot more work with their houses, just because, especially in our area, in the greater Boston area, the general supply of homes isn't that great. And there are quite a bunch of buyers out there looking to upgrade, to buy their first home.
Yeah,
And at the price range that they can get, it's just, hey, here's like a really old home that you might need to, change up this and like do that and stuff. And nowadays people are a lot more willing
yeah.
rather than I need the perfect one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's odd. I mean, I didn't know how the virus was actually going to affect the house buying process and the market in general. Our experience has been that it's almost been sort of business as usual. People still have to move and they have to buy and sell, and they're getting it done. That I mean, I'm sure it's been affected, but not in a major way. At least for us, we've been able to stay very busy, so it's been good.
Definitely. Yeah, and that's great to hear. And it's always very interesting seeing how each sort of industry and each sector is reacting, or how it's been affected by the virus and what's going on right now.
Yeah, yeah. Personally, myself, I've found that I've spent a lot less time driving around.
Yeah.
And I've been able to spend a lot more time talking to people,
Mm-hmm.
going over information, and touching base with people. Everyone's
Yeah.
home, so that makes my job a lot easier.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
those extra touches for clients, they carry some weight, and it's good to know. I've always thought that clients have a bit of a disconnect from when they book with a moving company to actual move day.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of education or help as far as what the company would like to see on arrival, or what are the
Mm-hmm.
best ways to get ready. How can I save money? What are the areas of concern? Those are things that need to be discussed. So on arrival, there's no questions, there's no surprises. We know what we're getting into. The client knows what to expect, and we've been doing that. So that's been really, really good.
That's great.
Yeah, we
And
try
just
to look at
expanding
every
on that.
single job we go to. I've not been going out and looking at a lot of work. I've just started back doing it. But
Hmm.
even just, still photographs, people sending us video clips, FaceTime walkthroughs, they've
Yeah,
been super helpful. And, people get it.
definitely. I mean, FaceTime and all of that, I think that's here to stay. And what the virus has effectively done is just cram a lot of change
Yeah.
uh, into a short amount of time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's forced us to use the technology where
Yep.
beforehand it was an option.
Right.
Now we're actually using it, and we're finding out that actually it saves time. It's a great way to to exchange information, and we can just seem to be, at least for me, when we're juggling 30 or 40 clients on a calendar, I can move around with that information so much quicker than it would if I was visiting people and just only making phone calls.
Definitely. I do find myself a lot more efficient too, just not having to drive from appointment to appointment meeting people. It's
Yeah.
just, hey, like I can have this call go from like this time to this time. That's it. And then the
Yeah.
next call go from this time. It's
Right.
not like, oh, this ran over a little bit and then I have to drive here and then there's traffic
Yep.
and oh, he's late, you know.
Yeah, and what at least personally, what I'm not doing now is I'm not racing out of bed to go somewhere and then trying to race to bed at the
Yeah.
end of the day to get up again. So
Yeah.
I feel we've been a bit more rested, and I think that's come back to us in better quality, really.
Yeah. That's
We're better
great.
rested and less stressed. We can just provide a better service and be more of a resource for our clients rather than I have no time to talk to you. Bye. Hopefully
Yeah,
answer questions and help. So that's good.
definitely. And now touching on a point that you just made, Dave. So the whole booking to moving process and preparing for moving, you're kind of right. Like I don't think there's a lot of guidance being given on that. Can you
No,
tell maybe for the viewers at home, like what are some ways that they can prepare themselves for a move?
sure. Yeah. No, I think there is a bit of a sort of a customer service signal drop in that area.
Mm,
Um, I think the one thing that people have to sort of get their head around when they're starting to plan a move is that it might take more than you think, as far as the amount of emotional and physical energy to
mm-hmm.
go through your place, be efficient, uh, finally throw out what you don't need, box up and organize what you're taking, and just sort of hit that life reset button. I think in the past we've seen a lot of folks, particularly if you have kids, you just don't have the time to do it right, and then you do your best, and maybe it's not quite ready on the day, maybe the move goes longer because it's not so efficient, and then we've even had folks throw things away when they get to the new place. That seems to be a bit of a waste of money, but we understand
Right.
that's the push pull of time versus money in our city here.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you can just start early, do a
Yeah.
little and
Yeah.
often, and
Mm-hmm.
not cram in all nighters, but give
Mm-hmm.
yourself an opportunity. Plan your trash days. When
Mm-hmm.
I moved last, it occurred to me that I only had, I mean, we threw away, I don't know, 75% of what we had, but I had to be
Wow.
very sort of strategic as how I did it because I can't just pile all this stuff out of the house. So
Right.
we were throwing stuff away 2 months prior to our move out because we
Mm.
only had 8 trash days. And that sounds like a lot. And people say, well, I've got 8 weekends to pack. And that
Right.
sounds like a lot. But you're not going to be able to do it every weekend. There's going to be, distractions or other things to do. And then suddenly that 8 weekends is a month, and then it's 2 weeks, and then, oh, I should probably start packing. So, and we understand that it's not easy. We do packing too, and when we
Yeah.
do it, it's night and day because we prepare it how we want to find it. So the move actually goes a little quicker and a little smoother if we get to do the prep. But
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my time is talking to clients about how to pack certain items, which boxes to use, and just giving them the little sort of tidbits like that as we go.
Gotcha. And just in terms of packing things, what are like some common mistakes that people do or like things that you're having to tell people, hey, I know you may think it's like to stack your plates a certain way, but you should really do it like this.
We found all kinds of packing, from all kinds of people, and we don't and can't guarantee the quality of someone's packing. So anything that they pack, I'm afraid, isn't covered under our insurance. We've actually
Mm.
had people. I remember one time someone handed me a Stop and Shop plastic shopping bag with wine glasses in it and said, "Can you take these like this?" And I said, "Of course I can." Will they be in the same condition?
Yeah.
So people have different ideas as the right way to do it.
Hmm.
But you know, I've when I've been in clients' homes, I've done very quick 2-minute packing tutorials, and there are some basics. Heavy, dense things go in the smallest boxes. Light, larger items go in bigger boxes. And these, it sounds like obvious stuff, but
Hmm.
not everybody sort of grasps the fact. But I think it really is just about doing it right, giving yourself the time to go through your stuff and organize it properly. Label the boxes, make sure they're taped shut. Make sure the boxes are of a uniform shape. A lot of folks, I say, "Would you like us to deliver some materials?" They say, "No, no, no. I'm going to go, to the supermarket and the liquor store. I'm going to get some boxes." That's great. That's a great source of free cardboard. But the
Yeah.
problem is every single box is going to be slightly different. So when the guys are carrying it, when they're stacking it in the truck, when we're moving it on a dolly, it's not as stable and it's not as efficient for the space as it would be if you used our boxes, which are all of a
Right.
uniform sort of size and shape. Little things like that do affect move durations. And the bigger the move, the bigger the job, the more important these tiny little things matter because they are amplified. If,
Hmm.
in an instance, I asked a client over the phone, "Is there a long walk from where the truck will park to the apartment door?" And she said, "No, it's about 30 yards. Well, that's not a long walk if you're walking home and you
Right.
just go in and up the stairs. If
Right.
you're carrying boxes or pushing a dolly and you're doing
Right.
40 or 50 trips, that 30 yards becomes a thing. And that's something you
Definitely.
would need to know about. So it's just
Right.
about sort of educating the client, sort of reminding them of the things that they might have sort of skipped over.
Definitely. And yeah, there's a lot of sort of common sense things that people don't even know, like
Sure.
that point about the heavy items in small boxes.
Yeah.
Um, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really know that.
Well, I mean, you don't want to overload anything, and you certainly
Right.
don't want anything super heavy. But
Hmm.
when you pack a book box with books, you absolutely have to pack it to the gills. I mean, really, you have to squeeze as many books as you can in there because it's going to be used as base in the truck. There's going to be things on
Mm,
top of that box.
got
All
it.
the way to the top, it'll be
Hmm.
fine. It's 80%, the top's soft, it'll get crushed. It's no good. So people have packed books and they call up and they say, "I did what you said, and these boxes are really heavy. Is that okay?" And I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't get around having a few heavy boxes. But also, we've had people do the opposite. We've had people put books in very large boxes, and we've had to unpack them on site and repack them. It doesn't take long, but
Yeah.
there's a public safety issue. We can't have our guys getting hurt. We can't take risks. It's not worth these guys, than their livelihood just to move a few heavy things when we could do it a little smarter, a little bit
Yeah.
more.
Definitely. Working smart. I think that's the name of the game here, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I mean, you have to do both. You can't be a good mover and not work hard. You
Right.
can't. Because
Yeah.
you have to bring it every single day. Every single day, you must work hard. But you can work smart, and when you're good at what you do, you can use that knowledge to be more efficient with your energy.
Definitely.
And that's something else too. I was talking to someone the other day. Somebody asked me what sort of attributes we're looking for in a mover. What makes a good mover?
Hmm.
But it's funny. If I were to list them, the things that you would think of first, like strength,
Right.
speed, stamina,
Hmm.
physicality, being fit. Those are important things, but none of those things feature in the top 5 things that
Right.
I want out of our guys, because those are learned attributes. You will get stronger, you'll get
Yeah.
fitter, you'll get quicker. The
Hmm.
stamina will improve. That's a given. If you keep coming in, just like going to the gym, if you keep showing up every day, just keep showing up every day, you'll get stronger. But the things that we look for are the things that we can't teach,
Yeah.
like empathy, like having a thick skin,
Yeah.
mm, like being nice. That's such
Yeah.
a big part of what we do. If we're not connected with our clients, if we don't have empathy for them, if we don't want to help them, if we don't want to give them the good service,
Hmm.
That's hard to teach. I mean, and I've said it too. You know, if your parents can't instill that in you, I think at this point, you know, there's nothing that we can do about that. And that's
Right.
a big part of what we do, because anyone
Yeah.
can move boxes. It's not rocket science. That's not the hard bit.
Yeah.
Everybody expects us to move the boxes. It's
Right.
everything else that makes the difference, and is the you know, the difference between us and the next company.
Hmm.
Up on time, having the right equipment, having a big enough truck, making sure you bring enough guys, not running out of blankets,
Yeah.
having the resources to add extra equipment if need be. I mean, that's the difference.
Wow. That, you know, that's so interesting to hear, Dave, because um, that's exactly what I thought. Hey, like mover, strong, quick. But now that you say it, it makes a lot more sense. Like these are all skills that can be taught,
Sure.
whereas the soft skills, the people skills, that's something that you have to develop outside of work. And it's
Yeah.
very hard with all the with however much on the job training that you give to help them be the right person
Yeah.
for your company, for your brand.
Right. And
Um,
we can't teach someone how to be understanding if a client is upset or is tired or
yeah.
stressed out, or there are so many things that can go wrong, you know, on
Hmm.
move day. And we have to take it all in the stride. It has to be another day at the office for us. For the client,
Definitely.
it's the worst day ever. But for
Mhm.
us, you know, we've got to show some stiff upper lip, is the English term.
Yeah.
Take it in your stride. You really do have to do that.
Yeah. And speaking of that too, I'm sure the viewers back at home will find this point very reassuring, because I'm sure a lot of people, with everything that's moving around now, they might have to look for a new job, or transition to a new role or something like that.
Sure.
And it's good that, you know, we can use this as a reminder. Hey, use this time when you're at home, get in touch with yourself,
Yeah.
know who you are, know your attributes as a person, what sort of value you can give to a team,
Yeah.
and then sort of build on that.
Yeah. Yep.
The
Absolutely.
rest is just on the job training. Hey, how do you do an Excel sheet? How do you move boxes? They're sort of similar, right?
Yeah. Yeah. They're tasks, repetitive tasks that you will come across, and they might be slightly different day to day, but they will, you know, be quite similar. And yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely. It's the people stuff that makes the difference.
Hmm.
I mean, we're a little bit up against it. We know what our industry stereotypes are,
Yeah.
not particularly positive.
Yeah.
Everyone has a moving horror story.
Yeah.
We show that we hear all that stuff.
Hmm.
It's well, it's in two things. It's very sad to hear
Hmm.
that our industry is you know is sort of dragged through the mud by some people that give us a bad name and make our
Yeah.
jobs harder. But on the other foot, it's actually quite refreshing, because as long as we do what we say we're going to do, as long as we maintain some transparency and
Right.
are honest and open and have positive energy about what we do, we will be head and shoulders of so many other moving companies, like straight away. So
Hmm.
thank you for all that, other moving companies. Thanks for making this look really good.
Yeah, that's great. And just seeing the opportunities, that's something that's very important to help you as an individual sort of stand apart from the crowd, so to speak.
Yeah, and the pitfalls, the common mistakes, they're not industry secrets. I mean,
Yeah.
they're you hear people's stories from other moving companies, and you think to yourself, well, I'm glad we don't do that, or I'm glad we're not trying to do that and fail and end up doing something different, because they do.
Right.
They run their gas tanks empty to empty, so to speak,
Hmm.
metaphorically, and you can't do this stuff if you're not well funded and you're not well supported.
Hmm.
One of
Definitely.
the key attractions to me joining Mastodon almost 5 years ago was we had a shared philosophy, the owner, JJ
Hmm.
Pogosky, and I was just so blown away by his need and requirement to do it properly, that you
Hmm.
don't cut corners. You can
Yeah.
actually charge for your time, and there are clients that will really appreciate that. Uh, Long story short, I think my first week, we had an issue with a client, and I had said, well, I understand that I'm sorry we're late, but I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll take an hour off the bill, and hopefully that'll go towards, a part of making up for. And she said, Dave, I've got money. I want service.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never forgotten that. And I've always
Yeah.
remembered that and thought that, because it isn't about just take a little bit of money off the bill. No, do it right the first time. Don't get to that point. Don't lose the client. Impress them from the
Definitely.
get-go, and they'll be your friend all day.
Yeah.
Lose them at the beginning of the job by showing up late, or the guys aren't wearing uniforms. You have to work like hell to get them
Yeah.
back on your side. And you still might not be able to get there, because it's the
Right.
little things that clients remember. People are people, no matter what industry, but
That's true.
they never remember we moved 3 full trucks of furniture and
Right.
belongings. It'll be, well, they were okay, but there was a coffee cup left in the basement, and I didn't like that. That's how we're judged, and we have to be in front of that, and remember that it's not just about moving, it's about working with people. We're moving people.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it's about.
Definitely. And now that you say that too, I think it's so interesting. So yes, like moving and everything, that's a given, and we're sort of judged on like the minuscule sort of details here and there, like, oh, I was 2 minutes late, or like, oh, you forgot this coffee cup.
Yeah, yeah. No,
um
I never,
yeah.
in the history, and I've been doing this thing for over 20 years. I don't think I've ever had, complaints about the way that the guys are actually working. It's
Mm-hmm.
everything else that seems to upset the client, and lateness, and just, the discourtesy of that, sets the tone. That's such a big part of what we do. And in a customer service, oriented industry, you've got to make sure that that's important. You make that a priority.
Definitely. And sort of speaking on that too, so I remember when I was back looking for a job a few years ago, I spoke to an HR manager, just on her experiences recruiting and things like that, the applicants that she liked and the ones that she didn't. And she said very similar things to you. It's all about the soft skills and who they actually are and letting that shine through. And also the little things too, because she told me that there was this person who came in, loved, like, nailed the interview, everything, but they didn't go with him because one of his shoes was untied. And I thought to myself, like, why would that even be a factor? But maybe on the book it's not, but like subconsciously, deep down in your mind, it is. It just affects you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know what we're like as human beings?
Yeah.
Fickle, we're opinionated,
Yeah.
moody.
Yep.
And you and I, in our businesses, we have to sort of accommodate that and allow for that.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with it. That's quite normal. I might have even done one of those things myself once. I don't know, maybe.
Right.
But that's what people are like, and we're a people-centric outfit. So
Yep. Perception is key.
whether we like it or not.
Yeah. Now, so we're running out of time, Dave, and I think we've been through a lot of great stuff, which I'll summarize after this. But would you mind just sharing your most memorable or your favorite moment at Mastodon Moving?
Yes. I think the most memorable for me was one of my earliest recollections. I talked about my boss a little bit earlier. He's such a beacon of light, and is just so inspirational, for what we do. He harassed me for a period of time, trying to get me to join up.
Mm-hmm.
And I met with him for coffee a couple of times, and he was just such a super guy. And as I said, we had this shared philosophy where, we had an idea as to how we wanted to do this. And I thought to myself, wow, I've actually found someone that, actually believes in this stuff like I do. That's great. And then he had me come out to the warehouse. He said, I've just got this, new warehouse in Ashland. I think you'd like to come out and see it. I want to show it to you. I'm pretty proud of it. And I said, sure. I came out. And that's the moment I remember, because I remember walking through the place, and he was talking and showing me the storage areas, the equipment, the amount of stuff that was in stock, all the new gear he was working on, the innovations he was making as far as making rain canopies and new equipment that didn't even exist, but we figured we needed for certain applications. And I just remember thinking, my goodness, if I don't get a piece of this action now,
Yeah.
I'm crazy. What a
Yeah.
wonderful setup, and the guy is just empowering everyone to succeed. So at that point, I signed up, and I think in our first year we did about my first year there, we did about 600,000, which was quite respectable. But I
Wow.
think 4 years into it, we could get close to 2 million this year. So we are
Wow.
really on the up and up. And it's all me. I've done it all myself. I just want
Yeah.
to state it on the record. No.
Right.
We have a terrific team. JJ's handpicked a great team of Danielle marketing, Connor, our operations guy, Alan, our crew chief and move specialist, and it's just been it's been a real ride. It's been great.
Definitely. That's awesome to hear, Dave. Now, speaking of that, just sort of summarizing what we've went through in the short conversation that we've had so far.
Yeah, sure. No, go ahead.
Yeah. So just for the audience back at home, so we've been through some moving do's and don'ts. We sort of explored the high level of what moving sort of entails, and things to keep in mind too, and common misconceptions. And we've also spoken about the importance of who you are, and the softer skills, and being a good team player in the working world. And I feel like that is so important to know, and how perception really determines your reality.
Perception is huge, and is a major part of what we do. We talk about it in the meetings all the time. It's very important how we are coming across. And,
Definitely.
also, the last thing I want to mention about, at least sort of an overview of the whole moving process. I think a lot of people see a move coming up on the horizon and kind of dread it and clear their throat.
Right.
It's a half full glass of water. It depends on how you approach it. What it should be is an amazing opportunity to close a chapter of your life and start brand new, fresh, open on a new chapter, and get organized. Use the time, use the opportunity to get organized, and you can set up your next chapter. If you don't, you bring all those old things, all those old problems, all those old projects with you. They sit in your basement, and when you come to move again, it's going to be worse this time because there's more stuff.
Yeah.
So please take the opportunity and
Definitely.
It's a fantastic opportunity.
Yeah. What a great way to end the show. And just for those of you back at home that are interested in learning more about Dave and the team at Mastodon Moving, Dave, would you mind sharing your contact details and how they can connect with you?
Absolutely. You can reach out to my personal email at Mastodon, which is dave@mastodonmoving.com, or you can get in touch with our general inbox, which is info@mastodonmoving.com. I'd urge everyone out there to check out the website. There is a link there that you can contact us to. There's a lot of great images, information, also a great little clip that we put together with the owner discussing our COVID response and how that's going.
That's great. And also on Instagram as well, right? At Mastodon Moving. That's where they can find you.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Well, awesome. And also one last thing too, for y'all that learned something new today, that enjoyed the show, please do consider donating to the Jane Doe Inc., as we mentioned at the start of the show. And anything else to add, Dave?
Just thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
Definitely. Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, Dave. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I hope to see you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Lou.
Definitely. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.